Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
And for you, it's from a 1-2 game. It's 200 cap, but you can max the stacks as well.
Okay.
This is like a poker club.
This is Match the Stacks too. Wow, Match the Stacks taking over the world.
Yeah. So we've been playing for about a couple of hours now.
Okay.
And I have about 600.
Okay.
And I'm in the low jack with 2 threes.
With 2 threes.
Yep.
Okay.
And there's going to be tulippers up front. And so I just limp along as well.
I like that. So limp. You've got low jack, 3-3, and you over limp. By the way, this is really like a textbook example of a low stakes live spot where I like to over limp with small pairs. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't. I mean, ISO raising here with like deuces, threes, fours. Like you can just win a big pot anyways if you flop a set. So I do like that play. So you over limp.
Yeah, over limp. Then the button limps.
Okay.
And then the small blind and the big blind complete. So it's going to be 6 ways to the flop.
Okay.
And the 2 main villains in this hand are going to be the undergun +1 and the button.
Okay.
So the flop comes queen of spades, jack of spades, 3 of clubs.
So you flop bottom set and it's limp pot.
Bottom set, limp pot. Pot's $12. It checks to me, and I bet $10.
By the way, are you a CLP sub just by chance? Just check.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna actually go over a hand tomorrow. This is on July 30th or something. I'm actually gonna go over a quick hand tomorrow on my podcast where at 5-5, no, actually at 5-10, I flopped a set in a limped pot or actually in a single raise pot with sixes against a guy who had just top pair and he wasn't even the pre-flop raiser, and I just played it fast the whole way and got paid massively. This sort of reminds me of this hand because I was just going to say if somebody had led into you, I hope that you would put in a small raise. But obviously it didn't happen. But
no, it didn't.
Yeah.
So I bet 10.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a good size or what. I mean, I know it's 1-2, but pot, ratio wise, if that's too much or if that was fine there.
That's fine. You could even go larger. I mean, you said the pot's 12. Do they take a drop in this game or a rake or something or?
I don't know exactly.
They
what
probably
it
do.
is.
You're probably betting a pot, so because of the drop. But anyways, yeah, you bet
Right,
10.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the button, who is pretty loose. Almost everyone at this club is crazy loose early, but pretty straightforward post flop. He calls.
Is this in Texas? This is one of those poker clubs in Texas?
Yeah, this is in Texas.
Don't get shot over there. Button calls. Yeah. How deep is the button?
And then the button has 300.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the blinds fold, and then the undergun +1, he also calls, and he has 400.
Okay, so UTG1 calls with 400.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so, I mean, you're liking
guy,
life here. Obviously, there's a lot of things that can change on the turn, right?
Right.
I mean,
yeah, it's pretty scary flop for what you don't. I mean, not the best flop for when you get flop set, but
sure.
Obviously not complaining. But this guy, he's one of those guys that min buys, tries to double up, and then once he has chips, he starts trying to actually play poker. So he's one of those dudes. So the turn comes to 2 of hearts.
Oh, that's a great card for you, right? Great card for you. Yeah.
So the pot's 42, and the undergun +1 checks again.
Oh, sorry, I have the
35.
pot. I have the pot wrong for you. Okay. I'm just gonna make it 40 to make it easy because I think there's a drop. So it gets checked to you, and you bet 35.
Yep.
Okay. I actually think that this is another thing that I don't know if I'm going to go over it tomorrow, but one of the things that I think a lot of people don't have in their game, even though this is a limp pot and it's different, but I'm trying to work on is sort of, I was talking to Conlon about this, who's the top section coach, and him and I talk about different concepts throughout the week. Turn variability in your sizing, meaning that a lot of times you don't see this at the lower stakes, but you can have an overbet sizing on turn. Now, normally this is when you have the pre-flop lead, like in a raise pot, and you bet the flop and call and then bet turn, but You can actually have an overbet sizing, and there was a hand that I misplayed. I think that we'll get a chance to talk about this week tomorrow, where I had ace 10 and I flopped the nuts on king queen jack with two clubs, and I bet the flop and one guy called, snap called, and the turn was a brick, and I bet the turn and he snap called again, and then like I blasted the river on a blank and he ended up folding top pair, where I really should have overbet the turn because he still would have called with a pair and a straight draw on the turn, and then I could have sized down on the river. So it's like bet, large bet, small bet. So the turn is where you can actually put a, so you could have bet like 55 or 60 here, was what I'm saying.
So this
like,
was,
you know,
this was actually the main reason why I called. Because I was like, is there ever? I just started playing cash like on a somewhat consistent basis. I was almost always a tournament player. So I was like, is there ever a time to actually have an overbet turn?
Well, there you go. I just answered I just answered your question right here. And I think what it is that you don't even necessarily have to have like a strong absolute hand, meaning like you don't have to have a set to make this play. You can make this play. For example, like say you had
king, ace of spades or something.
Well, that's a bluff. I'm talking about with a value hand. You can make this play a lot of times. Like you could overbet turn here if you had the preflop like lead against like maybe somebody. I'm trying to think. Like say for example, like a guy maybe called in the blind. Say you thought that there was like the board was such where there was a lot of draws out there. Okay, you could overbet turn and sometimes check back rivers with certain hands. Like if you had king queen on a turn like this, and you really thought that the guy has a lot of draws, you could bet pot to overbet pot on turn. I'm not talking about this specific example. I'm just trying to run this through, and then check back rivers. So the times that you want to overbet turn for value are the times when there are like a lot of draws out there.
Right. Yeah.
And then you can just basically check back the river where you just think that, and then also too, you still might get hero called by top pair. So you're not really, so it's like you can just go bet and then sort of let the hand reveal itself at the end. But anyways, you bet 35.
Yeah, I bet 35, and they both call. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, one of these guys has to be on either the spade draw or a combo draw.
Sure.
Or maybe just
well, not necessarily. I mean, not necessarily. They could still both have queens. I mean, it's fucking 1-2, right? I mean,
yeah, but these two guys, I think the first guy for sure, the undergun +1, if he would have had something like ace queen or queen jack, he would have check raised the turn. I don't think he would have, with those draws out there, would have just called. From the time I've played a lot against him, because the club's not real big, so I know these players pretty decently. And the guy behind could definitely be just calling with queen jack because he's too scared to raise. He's not like a big better, or just be calling with like the nut flush draw or, you know, something like that.
All right, so go to the river. So it's spade, club, heart. Queen of spades, jack of spades, 3 of clubs, deuce of hearts. Yep, go to the river.
And it's the 8 of clubs.
8 of clubs. So queen of spades, jack of spades, 3 of clubs, deuce of hearts, 8 of clubs. So the straight comes in on the bottom end, but the front door spades brick out. Okay, so the pot's 155, and it looks like under the gun one has 350, and the other guy's got, what, like 250, something like that?
Yeah, they still have a pretty decent amount because it's in three-way. So under gun +1 checks.
So let me just say, I mean, what I was going to say here is that, like, again, it's 1-2, so anything's possible, but in a higher level game, or if you think the button is at least competent, he shouldn't really have a naked 9-10 here. When you bet the flop and he calls, he calls the flop, and then the other guy overcalls, and now you bet the turn. He got front door spades out there, and you're betting really large on flop and on turn, and there's a guy behind him that called on the flop. He should not have 9-10. The reason, so what I mean by this is that this isn't really a scary card for me all that much, because unless UTG1 is going to like check raise, and then if you bet and UTG1 check raises you all in, well, you've got a decision to make, but like I'm not concerned here with the button having 9-10 all that much for those reasons. But anyways, I mean, I would certainly bet for value here.
Yeah, so, okay. Well, I was wondering, so I was like, if this was heads up, like I know 100% I'm just going to bet this for value. And in this moment, I was going, okay, I think the button for sure has like queen jack, or maybe jack three. Probably not, because I have 2 3s, but I think he has 2 pair, or maybe like, I don't know. I don't think queens or jacks or anything like that is in any.
I don't think he's I don't think he has queen jack. Queen jack's gonna raise off at some point. He's not gonna call.
Yeah,
he's not gonna call you when he's like to your left,
right.
basically on a board
Sure.
like this, and then go call. So
those are the only kind of couple of hands I was thinking, like, what could these guys have? They don't have overpairs. They don't have other sets.
I don't know what you're. Here's the thing is that the other thing too is that if you're somehow considering checking because you think the button is going to bluff at it somehow, I don't think that's good, because he's got two guys. There's 2 guys that he'd have to get through. Your hand looks very strong. You look like you're going to check call. I don't think he has a strong value hand that he's going to value bet when he's checked to, because of the action. So this just cannot be a check here. From mid position for those reasons.
Right. So I didn't think that the guy behind me. I thought undergun. I was like, all right, I don't want. I was like, if Bart, I was literally thinking in my head, is Bart going to kick me in the nuts if I call this in and I check? And so I was like, I don't know. I just think the undergun one guy, like, he's going to have 9-10 here, and he's going to raise me. I'm going to fold. It's going to be stupid. I'm going to waste money. So I did check, and the guy checked behind me, and the button had jack 3. Which kind of surprised me.
Bottom 2.
Yeah, I had bottom 2, and I had a 2 3, so I was like, wow. And
the other guy,
the under the gun turns over his hand. He has 9-10 off with the 9 of spades. He did hit it, and he just freaked out, like, why didn't you bet that again? Like, he was just pissed because there's 2 people in. So I didn't know, because there was 2 other players in the hand, if there's ever a time here where heads up you would for sure bet call or bet fold, if this is a moment to just check call, or, this is just bet fold as well, even with.
Well, I told you. I mean, listen, like, there's no. I would not check in the middle here. I mean, it's such a horrifically bad play from UTG1, obviously, to overcall twice and then check the river when you're checking a set. And the thing is that even though I tell you it's a bet, right? Your play is not abnormal for these stakes on the river, which just I mean is that there's a lot of guys that will actually do what you just did on the river. Which means the under the gun one's play is just like horrifically bad to check the river if you're checking a set in the middle. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out CrushLivePoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.